Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and welcome to 10 Commandments, One's Wife. You've all heard the premise, and now I'm going to confer the power of commandment on my guest, who today is Sue Smith. Welcome, Sue.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank
You
you.
are granted the power of commandment with regard to this one's wife, the power to compel, to injunct, to improve, possibly even to restrain. How shall you wield the power of commandment over this one's wife? Let's begin. Tell me your first commandment, please.
My first commandment is she has to admit that she was jealous of the titles that William and Catherine's children had, that those children had the prince and princess titles, and her children, when they were born, did not.
Okay, so she's envious of the fact that the children had got those titles and hers hadn't. Why does that matter to you?
I think that because she sat on the Oprah show and lied and said that her children weren't given titles or that Archie wasn't given a title because of the color of his skin, but she later mentioned the convention that says that when Charles becomes king, her kids automatically become prince or princess. So she you know um came back on what she said with her own words. She was lying, and she caught herself lying. And she's, oh, the most important thing to me is the name mom. And but she didn't want all these, the Dumbarton, the Earl of Dumbarton, and all that. She wanted her children to be on par. And she even said, it's not protocol that my children aren't titled the same as the other grandchildren. She was jealous. She was absolutely jealous. What she wanted for her kids from the get-go was those prince and princess titles.
And do you see why she wanted those titles? What was driving the envy?
Yes, I think she couldn't consign herself to the fact that she married the second son.
Hmm.
She wanted to be in Catherine's shoes. She didn't like the pecking order at the palace. And I think she thought she would marry in and she would somehow fix it. And then it didn't get fixed.
Yeah. And also, of course, the children are an extension of her. And
Mhm.
therefore, if they don't have titles, it therefore makes her seem less, which, of course, is
Correct.
what truly matters. So if they get titles, it kind of makes her whole in a way. So her narcissism gets hold of her envy and uses that as a tool to then cause her to take action to try and remedy the threat to control by seeking the provision of the titles. So you'd like her to admit that she was envious of William and Catherine's children's titles. That's commandment number one. Okay.
Mhm.
What's your second commandment?
That is a flat out commandment. Thou shalt not cut off thy husband's testicles and put them in your pocket.
Okay. So is it about the removal of the testicles or where they're placed or both?
It's about the fact that she's completely emasculated him.
Yep.
He's become her spare.
Hmm.
He's become nothing but, a way to a means, a stepping stone. He's not on par with her. He's not equal to her. And he's even lower now than he was when he was William's spare.
I think all of that is entirely accurate with regard to the status of where Harry finds himself. And after I've spoken about the fact that his pink pods not only get tasered, but they then end up popped into her pocket or purse or wherever she might keep them. So he
Mm.
certainly has been emasculated. The evidence supports that. Why does it matter to you that he regains his pink pods?
He's, maybe this is just the way I was raised. He's a man. He should have an opinion. The marriages are supposed to be equal. Everybody gets, a thought, but he is so easily controlled by her. We've seen it. Excuse me. I've shown the videos a gazillion times where she's touching his back. She's
Mm.
controlling him by, let's go. Your conversation's over. And, just it's like the man hasn't got a thought in his head. It's like he's being led around by his mother, which, yeah, let's not go there. I already know that he thinks that that's his mother reincarnate, which is even more disgusting when you think about it, because he's sleeping with his mother. It's disgusting. But he's like mentally damaged. I think she saw that he was easily manipulated, and she totally emasculated him,
Is it the
demasculated.
is it the case that you feel sorry for him, or is it the case that you just look at it and go, it's such a sort of icky situation that I'd rather not you be that way?
It's both.
Okay.
I used to think that she was completely responsible for what happened, but as time has gone on, he's a guy. If he had any cojones, he would speak up and say, "Listen, this is my father, this is my brother, these are my niece and nephews. Cut it out." But he can't do that. So,
Do you
yeah.
think he could get his balls back from her, or do you think we're going to have to fashion him a new pair out of some plasticine or Play-Doh
I,
or
I think eventually he will get his balls back. I think sooner or later something's going to happen, and he's going to wake up and go, "Wait a minute."
yeah.
So, something's going to happen. I don't know when. I don't know what, but something is going to happen. And when it happens, um, he'll wake up and go, "Wait a minute, I made a mistake here. I made a big mistake."
Do you think
Maybe
that's
one,
starting? Do you think that's starting to happen now?
yes,
Okay.
I do think that's starting to happen now. I think the fact that, and I don't want to get into politics and, whatever, but Trump holds grudges. Trump is coming in. Anything special that Harry and Meghan were getting from the Biden administration, Trump is going to put a stop to immediately. And he was very upset over the way Harry and Meghan treated the Queen.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he got expelled from the country and Meghan goes, "Well, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. I'm an American citizen." And she stays with the kids and he gets tossed. This is my prediction of what's going to happen. It's going
And
to
you
be
think
her out for the marriage.
okay, and you think that's going to cause him to wake up?
Yes, when
Okay.
he's
So
thrown out of
so
the country.
okay, so that's what you predict might happen. What do you think is causing him to wake up now then though?
I think he realizes that people don't like her and he's going to step back and go, "Why didn't my family like her? Why doesn't the public like her? Why doesn't she have contact with her family? Why are her friends dropping her one after another? Like, what's going on here?"
Why now? Why would he start thinking that now, given that that's been a state of affair for years?
Because now his father has fighting cancer. Catherine just got done fight. Well, she'll never be done, but she's done with her chemo. I think that was a massive wake up call for him. The fact that he barely got 5 minutes notice
Hmm.
about his father's cancer and he got no notice about Catherine's cancer, I think he's like, "Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute." And he's stepping back and going, "Okay, maybe something's got to change here."
Okay.
That's what
So
I think.
okay, so the ill health issues have focused
Yes.
his mind somewhat, and he might now just be starting to make plans to launch Operation Testicle Retrieval.
Correct.
Understood. Understood.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
Furnish me with your third commandment, please, Sue.
Also, a straight out commandment: thou shalt not use one's children to make money. Thou shalt not monetize your own children.
Okay. Why does that matter?
Because she's used her kids before. She uses the children on a regular basis. They used the kid in that Spotify thing to try to get clicks, try to get Archie at the end to say Merry Christmas. It didn't work. Nobody
No,
was
but
paying attention.
I mean,
And
but I understand. I understand that children take up a lot of time. They take up a lot of money. So why not get something out of it? Why not? We can't
because
send
they're
them.
not a commodity. They're children. They're children that they want to keep them private because they have security issues. So stop dangling them as, "Oh, we're going to bring them to Invictus, or we're going to bring them to Canada for the Winter Olympics. We want Archie to learn how to ski." And then they show up without the kids. "Oh, maybe we'll bring them to the Invictus UK, Birmingham." They're constantly dangling the kids. Don't forget that she copied or trademarked, whatever you want to say it, Lilibet's name before she was even born. And
Mhm.
I predict there's going to be Lilibet clothing, Lilibet dolls, Lilibet this, Lilibet that. I mean, Harry and Meghan haven't followed any of the rules. They agreed not to use their titles for monetization. They've done it anyway. They've broken all the rules of the Sandringham Agreement. They agreed not to use their HRH. They're still using their HRH. Intermittently, you see it. I just feel like those kids, if they want those kids to be private, then those kids should be private. Stop dangling them like a carrot. It's gotten to the point where I hate to say this, but it's absolutely true. I could go my whole life never seeing those kids. I could care less if I ever see those children at this point. It's like I'm not even excited. Oh, we're releasing a picture. I'm not even excited anymore to
So
see those pictures.
what aspect is it that's causing you the greater offence? The fact that they're hypocritical about, oh, we want their privacy, but then actually we're sort of dangling them as a tempting prospect, or you just don't think children should be used as a commodity? Which is it?
Both. Children should never be used as a commodity, ever, for anything.
What else
Children
are they? What else are they good for, though?
love
Yeah.
playing,
Yeah.
feeding new foods too.
Mhm.
They're good for a lot of things. Draining your bank account. I know all about that one.
Well, that's what I understand is the case. Yeah. Okay. So you don't want them using the children to make any money
Right.
because you find the concept an offensive one,
Correct.
and you don't like the hypocrisy associated with it. Understood. Okay.
Correct.
Give me your fourth commandment, please.
Oh, thou shalt stop playing the victim.
Okay. Yeah, we all know that she does, and we all know that stems from her narcissism, because it frames the world by telling her that she can do no wrong, therefore that
Correct.
must mean that everybody does wrong to her, and that she is always on the receiving end of other people's venal and unpleasant behavior.
Correct.
Why does it matter to you that she should stop playing the victim?
She is a very privileged person. She has a great deal of wealth and fame and social status. Everything that she has gotten from marrying Harry.
Yeah.
And so for her to constantly go on these shows and these podcasts and portray herself as some sort of victim who's been treated unfairly, when you think about all the people in the world who have struggled through life without any of the stuff that she and Harry have, it is it's insulting. It really is insulting. She's, her media tries to come out all the time saying what a strong, independent woman she is, but then every time you turn around, she's woe is me, oh poor is me, I feel bad for me. She didn't get where she is through her own efforts. She got where she is because of who she married. And
Yeah.
she's insecure and vindictive and nasty.
So
That's my thought.
essentially, she has no cause playing the victim, because there she is living in a mansion with
Correct.
presumably millions in the bank,
Correct.
with staff running around, bringing her various foods and cleaning up after her and putting back
Correct.
together the smashed crockery when it's been thrown against the wall. So life is sweet, in other words. So what is there to moan about?
Exactly. I mean, she's got a nice house, money in the bank, designer clothing. She's married to a prince. She has two healthy children. But no matter what she has, it never seems to be enough for her. It's not
Yeah.
enough.
Oh, that's the nature of being a narcissist. The narcissist is never, ever content, because there's always the presence of that gnawing chasm that's there. There's always the emptiness that is only temporarily pushed back. So that's what she has to deal with. Although she doesn't know what it is, she always has that sense of unease that's driving her forward whenever to seek control and to draw fuel from people. So, yeah. So you think, yeah, she should be counting her blessings and not complaining.
Correct.
Right. What's your fifth commandment for this one's wife?
My fifth commandment, I'm looking at my list. My fifth commandment has to do with the fact that she's hypocritical. She should stop being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hitting all her character flaws. She's a hypocrite because she and Harry are always talking about the environment and, this and that. And I mean, it's even in my video today about Travelist. Harry's going on about Travelist and the environment. And yet in 2 years, he and Meghan Markle took over 21 private jets. That was just between 2019 and 2021. I'm pretty sure if you totaled them up to today, it's over 40.
Mm-hmm.
Private jets everywhere. I'm so sick of hearing about what I should do for the environment when they're taking private jets. They live in this huge house that has to be heated and cooled. They have to water their lawn, which is it's like 7 acres. They have a huge pool that they heat. I mean, the amount of just blatant disregard for the environment that they do, don't tell me what to do. When
Isn't it
you're
all
a
powered
hypocrite.
by her hot air that she spouts?
I wish, but
Yeah.
no, they're hypocrites. And I just think that they should stop being hypocritical. Or she should
Okay.
stop being hypocritical.
Yeah. You want her to stop being a hypocrite.
Yes.
Again, the reason that she is that her narcissism compartmentalizes. So when she does something at 9 a.m., at 9:05 a.m., she can do the diametrically opposed response to that which she did at 9 a.m., and her narcissism blinds her to it.
Correct.
So she doesn't realize that she's being hypocritical because her narcissism divides up the way that she behaves in that particular way. She is undoubtedly hypocritical. I completely agree with you in that respect. But she doesn't see it. And if you were to put that to her, she'd reject it because it just doesn't
Exactly.
compute with her. So you want to stop her hypocrisy because that sticks in your craw. It sickens you to witness it.
Yes, it does,
Okay.
actually.
All right. Yeah. That's understandable. That's the whole point of these commandments. They're your commandments. So you've been imbued with the power. Okay. What's your sixth commandment?
My sixth commandment is to stop being a controlling bully.
Okay. And
Go
why
ahead.
do you want that to be stopped? She's not
I
bullying
don't
you.
think
She's not bullying you, is she?
I don't think anybody should bully anybody. I worked in the emergency room for like what, 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
Nurses can be some of the biggest bullies to their coworkers, let me tell you. They can be really nasty and clicky. It's not a fun environment to work in, let me just say.
Mhm.
And when she treats people badly, and then it was, she was accused of bullying her staff. And of course, Meghan claimed that it was just part of a smear campaign. But since then, she's lost like what, 18, 19 staff members. That doesn't include the nannies that were fired and house staff.
They just can't handle her being direct. You see, she's an empowered feminist, and she's just being direct. It's them. It's their weakness.
Right. Lots of people can be direct,
Yeah.
but that's not the same thing as being a bully. Sorry. When you reduce people to tears, you're not doing something right. And
Mhm.
I think she's unable to see outside of herself to realize how her behavior affects the mental health of other people.
Yes, which again then sort of loops back into her hypocrisy because she'll sit there and talk about mental health
Right.
and is a hypocrite because she adversely affects the mental health of other people through her bullying and controlling behavior and
Correct.
fails to see that she is the bully. There are some bullies, of course, it can be pointed out to them that their behavior is bullying, and they actually go, "Goodness me, I didn't realize that I was doing that. Now you pointed it out to me. I'm ever so sorry," and they will change their ways. But
But
with
she
many,
doesn't.
bullies, they won't recognize it, and she certainly does. Of course, because she operates a facade, this bullying goes on behind closed doors. She does it away from the cameras and away from other people witnessing because she likes to portray herself as sweetness and light and being a lovely person. So you'd want her to stop being a bully.
Yes.
Okay.
If she could.
Have you ever been bullied?
At work. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There was a woman I worked with, I'll just call her Jay.
Yeah.
There was a woman I worked with. She worked nights. I worked mid shift, which was like 11 in the morning to 11 at night. So I would only work with her for 4 hours. I would leave at 11. She would come on at 7 p.m. I would leave at 11 p.m. And for 2 years, people were coming up to me telling me that she was talking about me on night shift after I left. She said the most horrid things about me, but she never once had the guts to say anything directly to my face. And the one time she yelled at me at the desk and I yelled back, she ended up back in the boss's office crying about how mean I was to her. Let me tell
Mm.
you, I walked back there. I'm like, you're insane if you think I don't know what you've been saying for the last 2 years. Like, are you crazy? Crazy. I just, once because I am so tall, and the majority of the people I worked around were like 5'7", 5'8", really small. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in front of you saying, you better stop. You better, then they go to management and say they felt threatened by me.
Okay.
So I tried not to confront these people, but when I finally had enough and yelled at her after 2 years, she was reduced to tears. How dare I speak to her like that at the desk? I'm like, you've been yelling at me for 2 years. You've been talking about me for 2 years. Like, get a grip on yourself. Right after that, by the way, she transferred out of the emergency room. She was gone.
Okay.
So,
Or I suppose you could start addressing people kneeling down.
well, that's true too.
Yeah, that could have
But
been
now that I don't work there and I don't work at the hospital anymore,
okay.
And I retired, that's not even an issue.
Okay. Why do you think this one's wife bullies people?
I think she feels very insecure about herself. And I think she feels that by being forceful, somehow it makes her appear to be more confident and more, I don't know, on top of things. When the truth is, she's like a 5-year-old inside. That's what I found. Most people, I don't know about kids, but adults, if you call them on it, they back up very quickly. So I think she's insecure, and I think she uses the bullying as a way to try to make herself feel bigger than she really is.
Okay. Do you think she's ever been bullied?
No. From
Ever?
everything in her history, the private schools, the tap dances, the ballet, the fancy dinners, I don't think she was ever bullied.
If she were to sit down with you and say, Sue, I can understand that, people think I'm a bully. Well, it's because I was bullied. And I guess I'm just treating people like the way I was treated. Would you accept that?
No.
No?
Because if you've been bullied, then you know what it feels like. And that does not give you carte blanche to do it to other people.
Okay. What about when they say hurt people hurt other people?
And maybe that's true, but I'm a hurt person. I don't hurt other people. I don't go around bullying people. I don't go around calling people names. I didn't have the easiest childhood. I certainly didn't have it easy after my accident. And I don't go up to people and call them names. And, I never went into work and gave people a hard time. I always walked in with a smile on my face, said, good morning. If you want to go talk about me, go do it over there. And I just did my job. I never, would be intentionally cruel to anybody. That's just not in me. That's just not the kind of person I am.
How do you think she bullies people?
I think she makes them feel insignificant. I think she erodes their confidence.
How might she do that? Does she grab them by the hair and stick their head down the toilet and flush it?
No, I think she constantly complains about the work they do, and it's not good enough. It's never good enough. No matter what you do, it's not good enough.
So she thinks she focuses mainly on people's production and their output, so the quality.
Yes. Yes.
What about belittling people for their physical appearance or their physical characteristics? Do you think she goes there?
No, there's been no reports of her doing that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say no on that. I think there's a line, and I think she knows not to cross that line.
What about the instances of where she was making comments? Wasn't it about a child's size? She was talking about, wasn't it the case that she was making references to Charlotte being a little bit on the chubby side?
I hadn't heard that. What I had heard about that instance, besides the fact that she made Catherine cry and she called Catherine baby brain and she said some mean things to Catherine. From what I understand, it was Jessica Mulroney's daughter who was picking on Charlotte. And they were saying things to Jessica Mulroney's daughter in front of Charlotte, like, you're just the best, you look the best, you're the prettiest girl in the room. They were saying things that were hurtful to a 3-year-old girl. But does that surprise me? No. That's the kind of friends that she was keeping. And look what happened to Jessica Mulroney. Jessica Mulroney got into that whole race row with that influencer and apologized publicly and then threatened her privately. And then the influencer put the tweet out where, the private message out where Jessica said she was going to sue her.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the kinds of friends that Meghan Markle has. I'm pretty sure that the people she surrounds her with are like her. Like attracts like.
Do you think she bullies Harry?
Yes, I think she does.
How do you think she bullies him?
I think I wouldn't say bully, I would say manipulate. She manipulates him.
Okay, so she doesn't bully him.
He's mentally damaged. And so she plants stuff
Is
in
that
his head.
another way of saying he's thick?
No, I think he's really, listen, the fact that he's how old? He's 40 and he's still banging on about his mother's death 20 some odd years later, like it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
The fact that he admits that he's using drugs and alcohol to this day, he's mentally damaged. And she's tried to make it seem like all the issues he's had are due to his family. And he ate it up.
Yeah.
He was always jealous of William. He already had issues. All she did was give him the space to, go out and do it in public.
Okay.
He was always like he is. But with the palace machine behind him, everybody just thought he was this cheeky Harry and he was the most favorite person of the royal family. Now it's come out that, he was actually an ass. And she got him to be like that in public. And that's what did him in.
Okay, so you'd like to stop her being a bully. So that's the sixth commandment.
Yeah.
What's your seventh commandment?
She has to stop lying about everything. She has to be truthful.
Okay. Is that going forward or retrospectively as well?
Nope, she got to be retrospective as well. Like that stupid story about somebody kneeling on the plane saying, "Thank you for your service to my country." That is such a lie. Or when she went to the Lion King and said that, somebody said they were dancing in the streets, just like when Mandela was freed from prison. And the Mandela family came out even and, said, "Excuse me, no." I believe it was Mandela's grandson who then spoke out. I think she's so pathological in her head that she makes up these things and they just spill out of her mouth. And I think she believes them.
She does believe them because
excuse me, I'm sorry.
The narcissist of the type that she is.
Yeah.
Her narcissism causes her to believe these things and she says them. In that moment, they are her reality. So
yes.
in order to seek the prime aims, so in order to control, in order to get fuel, her narcissism basically says, we need to make Meghan do something in order to get those things. So let's get her to say that when she was at the premiere of The Lion King, a member of the cast told her that in South Africa, they rejoiced at her wedding day in the same way they did when Nelson Mandela was freed. So that's what she says. And in that moment, she has to believe it in order to wield it effectively.
The funny thing is, there was only one member of that cast that was from that area, and he said that he didn't say that.
Indeed. But remember, when she's saying it, she is not having any regard to whether it will be disproved or debunked or proven to be incorrect, because all that matters is, does it work in the moment? And invariably it does, because it provokes a reaction. And the problem is, for narcissists of her ilk, this is why they get caught out. And it goes back to what I always talk about, give the narcissist enough rope, is if you give that individual enough time, they will tell enough lies, which then people start going, but that's a lie, and that's a lie, and that's a lie, that you can stand back and go, hang on a second, this person's a pathological liar. And more people start to notice it. So you want her to stop being a liar. Why do you want her to stop being a liar?
Because it's gotten to the point where you can't trust anything she says. Every single statement she makes has to be double checked. And that's annoying. I know that if Catherine
why do you have to check? Why do you have to check it? Why not just ignore her?
Because she's untrustworthy and she's a liar. I mean,
yeah, but why feel the need to check what this inconsequential beige woman from Monty Shit Show's got to say? Why not just ignore her?
Because this inconsequential beige shit show woman is constantly in my face. She's constantly in the news. Her PR is constantly pushing her. The stories that she comes out with are just.
Why are you held down in a chair like Alex from A Clockwork Orange with your eyes pinned open so you're forced to watch? No, you're not. So you don't have to watch it. You don't have to read it.
The funny thing is, I could turn on the TV and watch a show and a commercial comes on and there's something about Harry and Meghan. I go on YouTube and the stuff is coming up. It's something about Harry and Meghan. I go on Twitter. something about Harry. I mean, you cannot get away from them. So if I have to see them, I want to make sure the information that I'm getting is correct. Now, I know if Catherine puts out a statement, I can go back and check her statement. It'll be 100% true. Whatever she says has always been proven to be the truth. Always. When she said she had cancer, I didn't have to double check it. I believed it, especially when some of the nurses from the hospital were fired for accessing her medical records and trying to sell them. I don't think that she ever wanted to tell people she had cancer. I think she was put in the position since her medical records were out.
Yeah.
And, now you've got that woman. Well, it was precancer cells. Precancer cells are still cancer. They still have to be treated. Like, why would you? Yeah, I can't even go there. But the point is, everything that comes out of Meghan's mouth, literally 99.99% of what comes out of her mouth, if you double check it, it's a lie. So
why not just adopt the position? Well, it's this one's wife, so it's bound to be baloney, and then just move on from it.
You know what? I'm getting there. I'm getting Sussex fatigue, which is why, like, my second video of every day is the royal family and all the wonderful works that they do. I call it my palate cleanser.
Yeah.
And yesterday I put up a recipe, and I've started branching out because I'm so sick of hearing about them. I'm so sick of the royal family snubbed them because they didn't say happy birthday. Well, when was the last time Harry and Meghan said happy birthday to anybody in the royal family? Never. I mean, it's Harry, Diana, Harry, Diana, 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 to the point where people are now making fun of Princess Diana, which is something that 10 years ago would have been unfathomable. Jimmy Kimmel, with his book, The Prince and the Penis, and, all people making fun of Princess Diana. Now it's all come out that Princess Diana used to use the media the way Meghan Markle does. She used to call them, tell them where she'd be for the pap walks. And so I had no idea any of that had taken place. My opinion of Diana has really tanked a lot since Meghan Markle's come on the scene, and Harry is constantly trying to co-opt his mother's memory.
Yeah.
It's really sad, actually.
Okay. So you want her to stop telling the lies?
Yes.
Okay. What's your 8th commandment?
She has to let her father see her children.
Because?
He's their grandfather. He hasn't done anything to her. He hasn't done anything to Harry. And grandparents should have rights, and he should be allowed to meet his grandchildren before he dies. The man is not in good health. He's already had 2 heart attacks and a stroke. And we all know what's going to happen when he dies. She'll come out with some statement about how sad it is that my father died and compassion and family and blah, blah, blah. But yet she wouldn't let him meet the kids. I said it before, and I will say it again. If that man passes away without meeting those children, that will be unrecoverable for her. That will be a stain on her that nobody will get past. They'll never get past.
She won't care.
She won't, but the public will, and she needs the public. So she needs to pay a little bit more attention.
Do you think it's gone beyond that already, though?
No, I don't. I think the public can be easily swayed. I mean, look what happened with Camilla. She was like the most hated woman in Britain. Look where she is now.
Well, I think that's putting it a bit high to say she was. I think you'd find Myra Hindley would be ranking above her far more considerably. I think that's putting it a bit high, to be honest, Sue.
I honestly feel if Meghan Markle tried to be a little humble, a little less, honest about things, nicer, if she stopped with the acting every time she's out with Harry, make sure you see the ring. She's always like this. Mm-hmm. She's always this. This is her pose. It's in like every place she goes. I mean, it's fake. She's not real. I don't think she knows how to be real. Even when they did that disastrous Parent Plus network interview where she tried to look at Harry, I mean, it was very obvious they'd had a fight before they showed up. That was so obvious. When she put her hand on his knee and Harry just went, and looked away. I think her constant acting like they're this lovey-dovey, in love, newlywed couple it's just grown thin. people aren't buying it anymore. Maybe if she was more honest,
Hmm.
it would be better. But anyway, her father deserves, he's not a bad man. He gave her everything. He gave her livelihood. He supported her. He put her in private schools. Um, he got her first acting job on the soap opera. He's done everything for her. He absolutely deserves to meet his grandchildren. When Harry said during the Netflix show she's lost her father and that's my fault, she didn't lose her father. Her father's alive and living. She's iced him out. There is a difference.
Hmm.
That's a cold person that you
Why
could
do you
call.
think? Why do you think she's done that to her father?
Because I think her father could tell Harry things that would show that she's lied to Harry. I think when Harry said when they first got together, we're the family she never had. God knows what lies Meghan told to Harry about her family.
Hmm.
And I think that's why none of the family, even the white side of the family, wasn't invited. Her uncle who got her the thing in Argentina. Because let's face it, if the family shows up at the wedding reception, people talk at the wedding reception. Somebody might let something slip.
But
So
do you think they necessarily would? I don't think they would necessarily say anything bad. After all, it's her wedding day. They're not going to turn
no.
around and say, "Hey, did you know that she's had like a secret kid elsewhere?"
Oh, no,
That,
no, 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 no. I don't mean that. But I mean it could be like um it could be something along the lines of, when I got her, it's so sad that her thing in Argentina only lasted 6 weeks, but I think she learned a lot. But she might have told Harry she was there for 6 months.
yeah,
Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? People talk at wedding receptions,
yeah.
and people, they try to get to know each other. And God knows what lies she told Harry about her family. She was not going to take any chance that anything could come out, which is why 90% of the guests at the wedding were A-list stars that she'd never met.
I think
They
it's
didn't know
simple.
her.
I think it's simpler than that. I think she didn't bother with the family because they'd served a purpose and she didn't need them any longer.
Yeah,
I
she
don't think
just
I don't think it was so much about thinking I need to keep them away because they might say something about me, because that's thinking ahead too much. I think she looked at them and thought, no, you've served your purpose. I don't need you any longer, and therefore I'm not going to bother with you. Instead, I can get something out of these people. They're famous, they're well known, so I want to be with them. She wanted to move through the different strata in terms of their usefulness. I think you're right that there are things that people could say about her that would cause a problem for her. I absolutely think that's right. But I think the governing factor was more a case of they've served a purpose, I'll jettison them, rather than necessarily thinking, oh, hang on a second, I better make sure that they don't fraternize. Because after all, Doria turned up. She could have let something slip. So I think it's more about usefulness.
That's true too, but that didn't last very long, did it? Because the Clooneys hung out with them a few times, and now the Clooneys don't have any contact with them, and they
Yeah.
have their own award show every year, to which Harry and Meghan are never invited to. And I think she
Yeah, because
tried.
The Clooneys recognise that she's just a Klingon, and they didn't want to be associated with such an abject loser.
Exactly.
Yeah,
She tried to cling on, to grab onto these A-listers, but I think as the A-listers met her, the Obamas had that huge birthday party. She supposedly was so close with them. They didn't invite Harry and Meghan.
no,
I mean, as a matter of fact, the only people that it's being reported that hang out with Harry and Meghan are other people that have been accused of being a bully. Chrissy Teigen, Ellen DeGeneres. Like attracts like.
yeah. Well, ultimately, they get ostracized by other people, so they haven't got anybody else really to turn to other than one
Exactly.
another. So you hang out with a hypocrite about being kind and a woman who doesn't know how to pronounce a surname correctly. So what a choice group of individuals. Okay, commandment number 9, please.
Stop using the race card.
Okay.
I'm so sick of hearing about her prejudice, and she said she used it as the excuse for the difference between the treatment of her and Catherine. And but the thing is, once again, she sunk herself, because in the Netflix docuseries, her own manager said he had no idea that he thought she was part Italian.
Yeah.
Somebody else thought she was part Malta.
Yeah.
So she didn't tell people that one parent was African American. She never told anybody. She
No.
denied that whole side of her. When she said, nobody treated me as if I was black until I got to the UK, that would be because you didn't tell people
Yes.
till you
Yeah.
got to the UK.
Yeah.
Then you used it as an excuse. Like, nobody cares. Seriously, nobody cared that she had a black parent. The only person who cared was her. But people are so sick of the racism card. Um, she's really damaged, in my opinion. She's heavily damaged the Black Lives Movement. Besides the Black Lives Movement, the money misappropriation and the buying of mansions and
Mm.
all this other stuff that went on with the Black Lives Movement. She damaged it because now when people scream racism, nobody's listening anymore. So when you have people who really are fighting racism, nobody's paying attention to them anymore. Nobody's
Yep.
listening anymore.
Yeah.
They're thinking it's just another.
Yes, it's certainly a collateral consequence of the overuse of the race card, that when
Mhm.
people do actually experience racism, they're treated with a degree of cynicism because of these individuals that have cried wolf so many times.
Exactly. And Meghan made it all over the world. She pushed the whole racism narrative in the Netflix docuseries that people aren't paying attention anymore. And that is solely on her shoulders, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Which brings us to your 10th and final commandment.
Ooh.
What's that, please, Sue?
She's going to have to pay a penance for what she
Right.
did. And for me, her penance is she's going to divorce Harry. She's going to give Harry custody of the kids. Harry's going to go back to the UK.
Mhm.
And she is going to go back to her old life in a rental house with a rental car and leave everybody alone. That's
Okay.
my thing. She's going to
That's
walk away.
a pretty powerful outcome for her. So
Mhm.
Harry's released, and he walks away with the children, and she gets no money. It's just basically as you were.
Correct.
That would certainly
Which
be
could happen because in California, until you're married 10 years, the 50-50 rule, from what I understand, the 50-50 rule doesn't apply. So, and he's not allowed to touch inheritance.
Yeah.
So, the money that he just got from his great grandmother, she can't touch that. The only thing that would be split is the money that they got from let's see, they got 1 million from Spotify. She got 1 million for the bench. He got $20 million for his book, so that's 22 million, and 60 million approximately from Netflix, supposedly. So that's $80 million. Then of course they had to pay taxes on all that. There's probably about 60 million left. So she'll get 30 million. He'll get 30 million. They'll sell the house and she'll go away, and she'll do whatever she wants to do.
I think there'll be less than that available after taking into account staffing and security costs and PR costs and all of that they've had to
Good
pay
point.
for. I think the only factor that also has some relevance there, though, is the prospect of, because she will tell lies, but also Harry, undoubtedly being given the type of individual he is, will have done things which he will not want to be broadcast or see the light of day. And a combination of her telling lies about him and twisting some of the things that he's done, and quite possibly just some of the things that he has done, would result in her blackmailing him and essentially saying, your dad needs to pay me a big lumper for my silence.
See, I don't think that would work. And I'm saying that I don't think that would work because she's a known liar. And if he left her and he went back to the UK with the kids, I'm pretty sure after some time and some rehab, the public would forgive him and would accept him back. And I'm sure he would be told to do the same thing that the royal family did with him. Don't respond. Let her run her mouth. Don't respond. And she'll just run herself into the ground.
Yeah, but I don't doubt that she will already have recorded material, a little bit similar to what Amber Heard tried to do with Johnny Depp.
Yes.
So Harry's thrown a wobbler because of the way she's been treating him, and then it's only recorded part way through when Harry's ranting and raving, so it makes him look like he's the one that's the abuser. That when he's spliffed out of his brain and he's wet his pants, she films him lying there on the sofa saying, here he is, the drug-addled man who doesn't bother with his kids, etc. so that she would look to portray a particular picture. So although they might say, well, we know you're a liar, so you can say your lies and we'll just reject it, I think there'll be some material which she will use that could be taken out of context and used against him. So I think that they would rather play safe and say, we want to keep you quiet.
Yeah, I think her thing is money. It's not family. It's
Precisely.
money.
So if there's an opportunity for her to get an extra, I don't know, $25 million by basically saying, I'm going to write my memoir about what a bastard Harry is, unless, I think there's a very good chance they'll say, well, whilst we don't necessarily regard much of what you're saying as credible, I think there'll be some things that could be twisted, because Harry's such a dimwit that he, and also, to be fair as well, if you take in the context of a marriage, okay, for instance, that I'll give you an example. You may not have heard of this, but there's a Premiership referee who has just found himself in hot water because he was filmed criticizing Jurgen Klopp, the former Liverpool manager. Okay, so he was in a home, in somebody's house. It was clearly at night. They'd probably been having a drink. There might have been some recreational pharmaceuticals involved. So he's with two people who I presume he regards as friends. Okay. And he knows he's being filmed. But even though he knows he's being filmed, he says, oh, Jurgen Klopp, so see you next Tuesday, and basically insults him. And then afterwards says, oh, this video better not go anywhere. Well, unfortunately for him, it did. Now, he thought that he could just sort of express his opinion, which we all have an opinion, and you should be allowed to express your opinion in your own home. So, for instance, Harry could do something in the privacy of his own home, within the context of his own who knows, some kinky sex game that he enjoys with this one's wife, and she's filmed it, and he's not thinking. He's thinking, oh, we're filming it so I can basically watch it later and spank the monkey. But rather than, but then of course she can then use that and leak it. That's what often happens with these situations, that somebody makes a sex tape because they think at the time it's a bit of fun and it's an enjoyable thing to do. But, oh, dear, the relationship goes sour. So I think there might even be material that's been generated which he thought at the time isn't a problem. And then it could be utilized later.
I don't think she has to do that. He already put everything in the spare. He told everything in the spare, his mental health issues, his drug abuse. I don't think she has to tape them.
Yeah, but I think that if you've got, people will say, yeah, that a lot of that was historic with his use of drugs, etc. Whereas if, like, now, and particularly in the context of any custody issues as well, to say, here he is, he's meant to be looking after Archie, and he's, wandering around in a drug-addled gaze.
Well, so we know he's still using it because he said that he got the mushrooms from Courtney Cox's house.
Yes.
While he's here in the United States. So we know that he's still using them.
Yes, but there's a difference between it being written in a book and a piece of video footage. That's far more powerful. It's far more powerful. So
you are correct. That's true.
Yeah. So I do think that that's something that she will angle at as a residual benefit as a narcissist, to want the money. And I think she will have stuff on Harry, whether created innocently or whether it's twisting a situation. But anyway. Your commandment for her is she's going to divorce. Harry gets custody and she walks away with nothing, which will certainly be a hammer blow to somebody who is a narcissist.
Yes,
well,
that's the point.
Yeah, there we have Sue Smith's 10 Commandments for this one's wife. Valuable viewers, what do you think of those commandments? Do they accord with what you'd like to see? Do you think perhaps Sue could have gone further? Has your itch been scratched? Or do you want even more? Well, you can let Sue and myself know in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you to Sue for your 10 Commandments. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. And thank you to all of you for listening.